Hey guys, Nate Schomer here, and I have this amazing German Shepherd puppy named Harley. We're going to be training her to be a service dog. This is going to be approximately a 6 to 9 month program. So one of the first things you want to keep in mind is having the proper training equipment. The basics that you want to have is a collar. You can have a flat nylon collar like this one that she has on, or you can also use a martingale collar. Those are very good tools to use for training as well. And then a basic leash. I like to use a simple nylon thin leash. It's light, easy to use, very effective. You don't need one of those big heavy chains or something like that. Just something very light and very simple. And then also some sort of training vest, or maybe one of those training pouches that you can wear on your waist to use to hold your training treats when working with your young pup. So the first thing that I like to do when I start the training with a puppy is what is known as marker training, or loading the dog to the marker, also known as engagement training. What this is, we're going to teach her that a certain sound means she's going to get a reward. There's going to be two sounds that I'm going to be using. One is going to be yes, and the other one is going to be free. So when I say yes, that means she's correct and she's going to get a reward. But I have to bring it to her in place. This is what's known as a continuation marker. Then we also have what's known as a terminal marker. The word I'm going to be using is the word free. Now, don't get confused by the dictionary definition of the word free. When I tell her free, it doesn't mean free, go do whatever you want. It means you're correct, come get your reward. The technical terminology for this is known as a condition reinforcer. So primary reinforcer is food, toy, or affection. A condition reinforcer predicts the primary. This comes from the studies that were conducted by Ivan Pavlov, the Russian psychologist. Basically, he had a sound that would go off prior to the food being delivered to the dogs. And after a certain amount of repetitions, when the dogs heard the click, they would begin to salivate. And that's what he called classical conditioning. But if you think about it, all he really did was he renamed a word. And the word that he renamed was predictability. Because he did further studies. If the sound went off while the food was being delivered, or if the sound went off while the dogs were eating, they never became classically conditioned to the sound. The sound had to precede the delivery of the reward by a split second. So you're gonna see, all I'm gonna do in this exercise is I'm going to get her attention. When she looks at me, I'm going to use my marker, the yes or the free, and I'm gonna deliver the reward. So she can become conditioned to the sound. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm gonna set her down, and I'm gonna let her know I have the food. Right now, I don't need the leash. I'm just gonna be using the food. And I'm gonna get her to look up. Yes. Then I reward. Notice there is a slight pause between yes and the delivery of the reward. Same thing with the other word. Free. Then I move back, encouraging her to come and get the treat. When she looks at me again, yes, I reward. I don't have to wait for her to look at me for a long period of time. I want her to look up at me, yes, boom, and get the reward. This should be fun and it should be engaging. Free. Then I move back. Again, notice how I'm saying yes before I move. And I'm saying free before I move. So this is how it looks. Yes, if I'm training a young puppy, free, without explaining what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna start training her. Good girl. Yes. Very nice. Free. Good girl. That's very good. This way. That's a toy. Yes. Good girl. Free. Very nice. So right there, she wasn't looking. I messed up, but it's okay. She didn't mess up. I did. Yes. Good girl. Free. Very nice. Good job. Yes. Excellent. Free. Also notice I'm switching hands. Good girl. Yes. Free. Very nice. And I will continue to do this exercise until she becomes conditioned to the sound. Now, it's very simple to find out if the dog is conditioned to the sound, meaning they know that the sound is going to predict a reward. The way that I test this out is I get the dog in front of me, I say the marker sound, in this case the yes or the free, and I wait to see if there's a change of behavior. If the dog gives me a blank stare, then they're not conditioned. But if the dog looks at me and does one of four things, licking their lips, salivating, opening their mouth, or moving their paws. That shows me that they know they are about to get a reward and they are conditioned to that sound. And we can now use this sound within our training to help communicate more clearly what it is what we want and what we expect from our dog. And this would be the same as clicker training. So if you want to use a clicker, you could use a clicker. All it is simply a sound that you're going to use to pinpoint a moment in time when your dog is correct. And it's that simple. Today I'm going to introduce you guys to my second step of dog training, but I'm going to start with simple behaviors. We're going to teach the puppy how to lure. So we're going to teach her how to follow the food in my hand. Then we're going to use that to start showing her the sit command, the down command, come when called, even our stand command, maybe heel position. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the food to manipulate her into the positions we want her to perform. Once she performs the behavior, we're going to mark that behavior with our yes or our free, and then we're going to give her a piece of food, encouraging her to repeat this behavior. When I'm doing this step in the training, I'm not saying the name of the command. I'm simply giving her a physical cue that's going to get her to perform the behavior. Once she performs the behavior, I'm going to mark and reward. So it should look something like this. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get her to understand the concept of luring. And that's getting her to follow the food that's in my hand in order to get access to the reward. So yes, when she pushes into my hand, I'm saying yes, and then I'm rewarding her. Yes, and then I release the food. Good girl. Fix her ear. Yes, very nice. Good job, sweetie. I can switch hands. Yes, excellent. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Yes, good. And then as they get better at it, you can make them work a little bit harder in order to get the reward. And again, this is what I like to call power steering, because we can guide the dog into any position that we want simply by using this concept of luring. I can lure her into the down position. I can lure her up into the sit position. I can get her to come towards me and sit down. I can get her to spin in the circle or to go in between my legs. Come here, baby. And walk there. And all I'm doing is I'm giving her a physical cue by using luring, getting her to get into the positions that I want her to perform. And once she's in the position, I mark and reward. Now I'm going to go over each position in a little bit more detail, but this is the basic concept of luring. Get them to understand that pushing into the hand and moving forward is going to get them access to the reward, build up their confidence, so then when they are trying to do behaviors that are a little bit more complicated, it ends up being easy for them because they're willing to work in order to get access to that reward. All right, guys, so what I want to go over in this video is how I'm going to be teaching her the sit command using the luring, and we're going to use both markers. So I want you to see how I use the continuation marker during this step and how I use the terminal marker. The terminal marker adds a lot of value when we're doing this because it teaches our puppy or our dog the faster they do the behavior, the faster they're going to be released and they're going to get the reward. When we're working with a dog, speed is based on motivation. The more motivated the dog is, the faster they move. If you think about a dog playing fetch, they always run to get the ball because they're motivated and they're excited. So we want to make sure the training's fun, and you're going to see that the terminal marker is really going to help speed up the command, and it's going to make the training enjoyable. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Come here, Fluffy. Good girl, Harley. So I'm going to take the food and I'm going to lift up. Yes. And the moment her butt hits the ground, I'm going to give her the food. Yes. Good girl. And I'm not worried about her staying in the position. Yes. Very nice. So you see when I say yes, I bring it to her. Let's see how it looks when I use the terminal marker. Free. Good girl. Very good. Free. Excellent. Very nice. Free. Good girl. So watch her butt. When her butt hits the ground, that's when I'm saying my marker. Free. Excellent. Good girl. Again, making sure you switch hands. You don't always want to use free, the same hand, because then your dog will focus just on that one hand. Free. And even though she's getting the reward when she gets up, it's the act of free sitting that is giving her access free to that reward. Good girl, very nice. And we can even mix it up. We can go, yes. We can do the yes. Bad handling with the food there. Come on, sweetie. Good girl, very nice. Yes. Yes. Come on, baby. Yes. Good girl. And that's going to be step 2 when I'm teaching my dog or teaching her the sit command. I'm simply lifting up my hand, her nose goes up, her butt goes down. When her butt hits the ground, I say yes, then I give her the food. And that's going to be how we're going to shape the sit command, again, using luring. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how we're going to teach the down command using luring. It's going to be very similar to how we started teaching the sit command, but one of the things you want to be aware of is how you bring your hand to the ground. One of the common mistakes that people make is they'll bring their hand down to the ground, the dog is trying to get the food, and they move their hand away as the dog is trying to get the food. You want to move it straight down, and what else I do is I create a little cave with my hand by how I hold the food. So I bring it down, you see how I'm creating a cave? By turning my hand, the dog's nose has to go underneath the palm of my hand in order to get to the food, which makes them lay down, just like she's doing. So again, we go straight down, yes. Once she gets into position, we mark and we reward. And right now, since she's coming back up into the sit, I can reward that as well. Yes, good girl. So let's see how it looks when I get her moving around. And I like to bring my hand straight down. Yes, good girl, very nice. Yes, excellent, good. And I can also say, free, very good, good job, come on baby. Very good, excellent. For this one, I prefer to use yes, yes, because she could jump right up anyways if she wants to. Yes, or I can bring her again back up into the, yes, the sit position and go right back into the down. Yes, when I'm working with a puppy, yes, I like to use mealtime, yes, as an opportunity to train. The key things you want to keep in mind is once she gets in a position, yes, that's when we mark the behavior. I'm watching her elbows touch the ground. If for some reason the dog's back end goes up, I'm gonna wait till that butt goes down, yes, mark and reward. Now, as I was saying before in the previous video, some dogs will go down like this, yes, but their butt won't go down right away. So what I'll do is I will reward them for attempting until that butt goes down, then I'll give them whatever's left in my hand. So I'm showing them, I'm gonna reward you, you're putting in the effort, but what we really want is we want you to lay all the way down. If you have a dog with a lower level of perseverance, you don't want them to quit because they're not getting access to that reward. Yes, and she's figuring this out very, very quickly. She's a smart little dog. Yes, you're gonna see though, the way that you handle the food is going to make a really big difference on how easy or how difficult it is for your dog to figure out what it is you want them to perform. But this is going to be using our luring cue to get our dog to go into the down command without using the verbal command down. We're simply giving a physical cue. Once she performs a behavior, mark and reward. All right, today we're gonna be going over 3 commands that I'm gonna be showing her. They're really simple, so that's why we're gonna put all 3 in one video. One's gonna be the climb command. It's a place that we want our dog to go. I call it climb, some people call it place, some people call it up. Really doesn't matter what you call it, but it's just going to be an elevated position where we want our dog to go and we want them to maintain that position. Then I'm gonna teach her spin. So it's a simple command, they spin in a circle. Some of you may have seen my dog Ari perform this. It's a fun command, they usually enjoy it. And then the last one's going to be center, where she goes between my legs and maintains that position. So let me show you how it's done. Again, we're still in the early stages, so we're marking every behavior, we're rewarding every behavior, and we're not worried about the command just yet. We want her to have fun and make it a good time. All right, here we go. And she's going, oh, not going to the camera. All right, come here, Harley. Harley, good girl. So for the climb, we're gonna guide her on. Yes, mark and reward. And we could also use this as an opportunity to teach the off command. So we guide her off, yes. We give her a reward. Now we're gonna throw in the spin. We bring their head around, making a full rotation. Now, some of you guys, if you have a dog that doesn't have as much perseverance, meaning they give up quickly, you may have to reward them when they're partially through the exercise. So you might have to go yes and reward there. You might have to go a little farther, yes, and reward there. Because you build on success. And then she goes all the way around, yes, and then we reward her. Again, we want to build on success. If you're trying, if you do this and the dog gives up, then you need to give them those wins. So they know that if they continue to persevere, they'll be able to get access to the reward. So again, these are all very simple. I'm cupping the food in my hand. I'm guiding her to the position that I want her to be in. Once she's in that position, we mark and we reward at the completion of the behavior. And then for the center command, this one, I want you to know what I'm doing with my hands. I have food in each hand, but she's not gonna get the food that's in the right hand. I'm simply gonna use that to guide her around into position, and I'm gonna transfer her over to the left hand. So here we go. I'm gonna show her the food. Come here, you, right here. She's distracted, she's got something in her mouth. What you got in your mouth? There you go, she dropped it. Piece of grass or something. Okay, so she's going for this food. Come on, ADD puppy. All right, I guide her around, boom, transfer her over. The food's still in this hand, and I got her in the center where I want her, giving her those rewards. So now let's see what it looks like if I were to just be training and I'm not gonna be explaining what I'm doing right now. I'm just gonna train her so you can see what it looks like. Each time she doesn't get access to the reward until after I say the marker sound. So here we go. Come on, baby. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Yes, excellent. Way to go. Yes, good girl. That's my good girl. Yes, good girl. Maybe make her walk a little bit. Very nice. That's a good girl. Get her to come back. We'll do another little. Here we go. I'm right here. I got the food. There we go. Do another spin. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Yes, excellent. Yes, good girl. That's very nice. Yes, excellent. And it's something that I can incorporate later when we start doing the heel position. We can throw in that little spin. It's really cute. The dogs like it. It's a good release from, an obedience routine that might be more strict and not as engaging. If you're training or you're working with a puppy really young, like she is, 10 and a half weeks, somewhere around there, you want to make it as fun as possible. You want them to have a good time, and you want to end the session when they're still having fun. You don't want to end the session when they're getting bored. You want them, when the session's over, you want them excited about it. You want them motivated the next time you bring them out. So when you bring them out to train, they're ready to rock and roll. They're ready to have a good time, and they're going to learn much faster because of that. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Okay guys, today I'm going to be introducing the place command, and for me the place command is a bowl. You can see it in the back, a bowl that I place upside down, and my goal or my intentions are to get her to place her front paws on the bowl. And what I'm going to do after that, when she understands it a little bit more, she's never done it, so we'll see how she responds, and I'm going to guide her and do the best I can to lure her with the food to get her onto the position. Some dogs, this may be a little bit more difficult. Some, it's easier. We'll see how she is. And then once she understands that concept, some of the future goals is to get her to pivot her back end while maintaining her paws on the bowl. This helps a dog with that rear end awareness, so they know that their back end is something that they can manipulate without moving the front end. And this will help when we're teaching her to flip into heel position and really, again, have that awareness of her own body. So let's go ahead and do that. And we can also use this as a target for different exercises later on. So I'm gonna bring it over, and let's see if we can get her to put her paws on the front of the bowl. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Yes, so she's an easy one. That's good. And I'm gonna keep rewarding her for keeping her paws on there. Very good. That's good. Good girl. Very good. You're such a smart girl, aren't you? Now I'm gonna have her come off because I want her to get those paws back on so we can repeat the exercise. Yes, very nice. So she's a very easy dog to teach this to. I've had some other dogs where they do everything in their power to avoid the bowl, and that can be a little bit of a struggle. But she just places her paws right on it, which is very cool. Let's go back this way, sweetie, and back this way. Let's get those paws on there. Yes, good girl. Yes. See if I can get her to maintain it. Yes. By spacing out the markers. Yes. Very good. Yes. Excellent. And if the bowl's too small, that's going to make it more difficult. So I like to use a bowl like this one. This is a basic metal bowl made by Kong. So it has the rubber on the top, and that makes it easier for the dogs to have a little bit of traction with their paws. The full metal bowls are a little bit more difficult for them. I know trainers that will also use horse bowls, big horse bowls to start out. Again, a bigger target's going to be a little bit easier, and the horse bowls are made out of rubber as well, so it's easier for the dogs to maintain that position with their paws. So let's bring her around and get her to put her paws back on it. Since she's doing so well, I'm going to see if I can get her to pivot that back end. So I'm going to get her paws on there. Good girl, very nice. Cupping the food in my hand, and I'm going to turn. Yes, good girl. So she's turning her back end already. Very nice. Yes, good. You see that? That is awesome. That's exactly what I want. Good girl. Let's see if we can get that back end to pivot. Yes, good girl. And we're going to take her back the other way. All right, here we go. You ready, Harley? Let's see if we can go the other way. Don't get too bored. Come on, here we go. Here we go. Come on. You can do it. Yes, good girl. Very good. Come on, can we get another step? Yes, excellent. So that's exactly what I want. That's a good session for there. And you can see how this is going to advance later on to where she understands that when she's in a sit front position, I can say heel, and she'll be able to flip her back end right into heel position with very nice, beautiful precision. Even though I'm training her to be a service dog, that precision is still really nice, and it will help with the training. And lastly, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be teaching her, it's for instructional purposes only. I want you guys to know how to teach it. So for example, we're going to be teaching her scent detection as well. She's not going to be a diabetic alert dog, but it is something that you would need to know how to do if you were to train a diabetic alert dog. So we're going to be throwing in some really cool things to help teach you guys a little bit more how to train your own service dogs or how to train a service dog for somebody that you know. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. See you in the next video. Hey guys, Nate Schomer here. In today's video, we're going to be going over the hand touch. It's a very simple exercise. All I want her to do is to understand that when I tell her to touch, that she's going to touch my hand with her muzzle. The way that I'm going to start this is I'm going to take a piece of food and I'm going to put it between my two middle fingers on my hand. That's where I'm going to hold it. I'm going to give her the picture, let her see it, and then let her gain access to the food. Once she understands that concept, then I'm going to add the command. The command is going to be touch. I know you're excited. So when we start adding the command, when we're trying to let a dog know that they're doing the behavior correctly, we have to give them a reward within a second of them doing that behavior, at least when we're teaching them. So we have the primary reinforcers and we have the condition reinforcers. The primary is the food, toy, or the affection. The condition reinforcer is going to be our markers. Since she is getting access to the food right away, I don't have to use the marker for this step. But once I remove the food and I want her to touch my hand without the food being there, then I will be using the marker. So you're gonna see each step. It's pretty simple. All right, so let's get started. She's pretty excited to be out here. So we're gonna take a piece of food, place it between the two middle fingers of my hand, and then let her get access to it. So I'm gonna do it again, show her the picture, boom. Very easy. Have her come back the other way, excellent. And then back the other way. Good girl, very nice. Very good. So like I said, it's a very simple concept. So now that she's taken the food from the hand, I'm gonna start naming it. So I'm going to say touch, then I'm going to present, and she gets the food. Put it in my other hand. Touch, then I present, making sure we say the verbal before the physical. Touch, then the cue. Good girl. Touch, then the cue. Very nice, excellent. So this is what I was talking about before. Touch, where she's getting instant access to the reward for doing the behavior, so I don't have to use the marker during the step. Harley, touch. Good girl, very nice. And I can add verbal praise. Touch. So now that she's going back and forth and she's doing this pretty easily, I can now remove the food from the hand and then reward her from the opposite hand after I mark the behavior. So I'm trying to get her to understand the picture of touching my hand, whether or not there's food there. So let's get started. Touch. Yes. Good. And then I reward her right away with my other hand. Touch. Yes. Good. Very nice. Excellent. Touch. Yes. Good girl. So you see now she's touching my hand with her muzzle. Touch. Yes. And then I give her the food. So now, again, there's no food in my hand. Touch. Yes. Very good. Excellent. Touch. Yes. Good girl. Touch. Yes. Very good. So there's going to be a few applications that we're going to use this in future training. It's fun for the dog. I like to use it as a release. This is also known as a power-up, but it's something that we can use to help teach other behaviors, such as turning on and off the light switch. So you guys will see in future videos how we're going to do that. But again, very simple concept. Start with the physical cue, have the food in your hand, get your dog to get access to it, have them understand that behavior, name the behavior, and then last, get them to do it without the food in your hand. Again, very simple technique, but it adds a lot of value later on in our training. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you click that like button, leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay guys, today I'm going to be introducing the stand command. It's really simple. We're still going to be using luring. I'm going to take the food and I'm going to tuck it underneath towards her chest, hoping that will get her to spring her back end up. Once she gets in position, I'm going to mark and reward. Again, during this step, I'm not worried about naming the command. I just want to be able to present a physical cue that's going to get her to perform the behavior every single time. If she doesn't pop up the back end, then I'm simply going to help with my hand to show her that I want her back end to pop up. And you'll see exactly what I mean. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to get the food and I'm going to get her over here. Come here, sweetie. Very good. So she's sitting right now. Oops, I dropped the food. No big deal. And now I'm going to take the food, again, tucking it towards her chest, hoping to get her back end to pop up. Yes, just like that. Very good. Very good, yes. And I'll reward her for the sit as well. It's still early in her training. Yes, so I'm rewarding every single behavior. Yeah, oh, yes. We'll throw it down in there as well, and we'll see if we can get her to pop back up using the food, the luring. Oh, there was a noise. No big deal. Yes, good girl. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning, but we're not worried about perfection just yet. Yes, good girl. Come on, baby. You can do it. Yes. Good, very nice. So I'm not having to help her, which is really good. But if I was to help her, if she was having a hard time and the back end wasn't popping up, I would just use my hand and just provide that little extra bit of assistance to give her more of a clear path of what I want her to do. And she's very food motivated, which helps a lot. Yes, good girl. So again, you see how I'm marking the behavior once the back end pops up. And if you've seen my other two videos for the sit, what we're doing is we're lifting up to get the dog to sit. Remember, where the nose goes, the butt does the opposite. And for the down, we're simply bringing our hand straight down, creating a little cave for the dog's nose to go underneath, which in turn will bring the back end down since they have to stick their nose underneath the little cave that you're making with your hand. So now, since we have the stand added into the dog's repertoire, we can start using all three. So while I'm training her, I can throw in the sit. Yes. I can throw in the stand. Yes. Throwing the down. Yes. Good girl. And that's going to be something that I'm going to add when I'm doing the training. When I'm training a dog, I don't just do one session and do one simple command over and over again. I try to teach them everything in the very beginning, especially this is her imprinting stage, where what she learns during this time, she will hold for the rest of her life. So I want to make sure she enjoys the training. We're having a lot of fun. It's very engaging. So when she's older and she enjoys the training, it's going to make it much easier to teach her new behaviors and more complex behaviors. So again, one more time. Bring it to her chest, kind of guide her, move her around a little bit till we get that back end to pop up. Yes. Oh, went back down. No big deal. Yes. Once it gets back up, we mark, we reward, we give her a treat. And when it's really good and she knows that this is a cue to pop that back end up, then we'll go ahead and we'll name the command. But this is all we're going to do for now. All right, so I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, in this video, I want to start introducing her to the heel position. I'm just going to guide her over to the heel position, as well as introducing her to the sit front position. I want to get some precision. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to get it in the general area. If you're doing competition obedience, a perfect sit front is going to be directly in front of you, center the dog as close to you as possible without touching you. And then heel position, depending on what sport you would be doing. For example, AKC, they want the dog as close to you as possible, and they want the paws aligned with the balls of your feet. And again, some sports might vary a little bit. I don't need it to be perfect with her, but we're gonna get it pretty close. And I'm gonna show you the body language that I'm gonna be using and how I'm going to be luring her to each position. Again, the sit front and then the heel position. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna get the food out, show her that I have the food. So for the sit front, all I'm doing is I'm bringing my hand down directly centered to my body, and then when she gets close, I lift up, and then I reward. So she's a little crooked there. Again, I'm not too worried about it being completely straight for a service dog, but that's not too bad. And then for the heel, what I want to do is I want to step back with my left leg, guide her around, circle her head inward, and then reward her. Now, having your dog circle their head inward is very important for this exercise, because if you circle their head outwards, then that's going to become the default movement that they do, and you're not going to have that really pretty rotation of the back end coming into heel position like that. Because we want, when they fully understand the heel position, we want them to flip their body, it's called a flip finish, into the heel position. So again, their head comes inward. I step back, giving her some room, and I can even reinforce the position a little bit more by walking forward and rewarding her. Now, for the sit front, when she's in heel position, I'm stepping forward now with the left leg, guiding her around my leg and back into the sit front position. There, she was a little bit too crooked. That's a little better. All right, let's guide her again, stepping back with that left leg, circling her around into position. Yes, mark and reward. Guide her, let's walk a little bit forward. Yes, good girl. A little bit more. Yes, very nice. I said that marker a little early and she's way crooked there, but that's okay. If you make one mistake, it's not gonna ruin the dog. I've had people stress out because they reward the dog when the dog wasn't doing it correctly, and they're concerned that they're gonna mess up the training. One mistake is not gonna mess it up, so don't stress out too much. Have fun with it. Yes, like there, she's a little crooked. Again, I'm not too concerned. Stepping back with that left leg, circling her around back forward into heel position, marking and rewarding. And now, since we taught her a lot of those other behaviors, we can incorporate those as well in with this exercise. So we can throw that spin in there. We can throw the sit. We can bring her into the down. We can pop her back up into the stand position. Bring her to the sit front over here. A little crooked. Want to reward. Here's another detail. When you are doing the sit front position, I like to keep my hand really close to my body, and then I drop my hand down to reward them. Reward placement is something you want to keep in mind. If I have my dog sit and I'm trying to do a sit front and I reward her this far away, then there's no reason for her to come nice and close into position. So I want to bring my hand up and then reward her closer to my body. Same thing with the heel position. I like to reward them when their head is upward, so they get used to keeping their head up, looking up at me. If I wanted to start working on a focused heel to where she walks and she looks at me the whole time and maintains that eye contact. That's going to be something you'll see in a lot of competition obedience. Again, not really necessary for a service dog. I enjoy teaching it though, so we're going to work on a focus heel with her. It may not be perfect, but we're going to have some fun with it. All right, I hope you guys like this video. Make sure you leave a comment, make sure you share the video, and thanks again. Hey guys, Nate Schomer here. In today's video, we're gonna start teaching our puppies how to walk backwards. So it's a very simple concept. What I do is when I want the dog to come towards me, I open my hand, encouraging them to come to me to get the reward. When I want them to walk backwards, I close my hand into a fist and I walk towards the dog. When we're first starting this, we don't expect the dog to just completely walk backwards. All we wanna do is we wanna be able to get one step. And then as the dog gets better, we're gonna add more steps to the backwards walk. This helps them with their rear end awareness, but it's also going to help her as far as understanding how to use her body when we start doing more complicated service dog tasks. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'm going to grab the food, get her attention. I'll go ahead and reward her. And so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to close my hand. I'm going to walk towards her. Yes. And when I see her take those steps backwards, yes, I mark and I reward. Yes. Good girl. So I can get her to come back to me, and then let's go ahead and get her to walk backwards again. Yes, very nice. Good job, Harley. Yes, good. Yes, a common issue that people run into when they're trying to do this exercise is the dog may try to sit down. Yes, which she is not doing. It's making it much easier. But if your dog does sit down, just be patient with it and try to move your hand, manipulate your hand to get the dog to do the behavior. Remember, this is our power steering. If we get the dog to really understand the concept of following our hand, we can use that to manipulate the position wherever we want the dog to be. It's no different for this. So if I'm trying to get just like the stand command when I'm bringing the food down and I'm trying to get her to pop her back end up, at first if she doesn't do it right away, we just really have to work it to get the dog to understand it, and then we mark and reward. So again, we close our hands, we walk towards our dog, we get those backward steps, yes, we reward. Good girl. Get those backward steps, yes, reward. Yes, reward, very nice. Yes, good girl. So once we get the dog doing it every single time and you get them presenting the picture or they're doing it exactly the way you would like them to do it, then you go ahead and you name the command. Just like every other command, we make sure that we say the verbal command before the physical cue. So if I wanted to tell her back up or walk backwards, whatever we want the command to be, I can say back up, then I do the cue. So there she's sitting. There. Yes, reward. Good girl. Back up, then the cue. Yes, reward. Excellent, very nice. Back up. Yes. Good girl. Ooh. Try one more. Back up. We got sirens in the background. Look, so now she's really walking a nice distance backwards. And we'll continue to say the name of the command before the physical cue up until the point where our dog beats us to the behavior. So you say back up, boom. My dog's walking backwards now without the help of the physical cue. This is definitely an exercise I recommend teaching your dogs. Even if your dog's not a service dog, it's still a good exercise. It's really fun, and you'll definitely be able to impress your friends when you tell your dog to back up and your dog walks backwards. All right, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope the background noise isn't too distracting, and I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, in today's today's video, we're going to be introducing the verbal command. So up until this point, we've taught our dog the markers known as loading the markers. I call it engagement training, where we get them conditioned to the sound that predicts the reward, the condition reinforcer. Then we start showing our dog what behaviors we want them to perform by using the luring technique. So teaching her how to sit by lifting up, the down by luring her to the ground, the place command, all these different exercises that we want our dogs to perform. Once we know we can get them to do the behavior every single time on the physical cue, then we go to my step number 3, where we name the command. So when we name the command, the name of the command must precede the physical cue. It has to come before. It must be predictable to the dog. This is an analogy I tell everybody and should help you remember this. Imagine you have a blindfold on and I have a stick, and I take that stick and I say, I'm gonna swing the stick at your head. But before I do, I'm going to say duck. So I say duck, then I swing the stick, giving you just enough time to duck before I hit you with the stick. But what if I did this? Duck, you'd get hit every single time and you would never be able to learn. So it's the same when we're teaching our dog basic behaviors, or any command really. We want to say the verbal, and then we want to, come here baby.
Hey.
Come on. Getting excited for the camera? So we want to say the verbal command, and then we're going to show our dog the physical cue, so it becomes a pattern that they can learn, they can predict, and then we do that until our dog beats us into the behavior. So for example, I say down, then I lure my dog into the down position, I mark and reward. I say down, look, the dog went into the down position before I lured them into that position. Now we know we have it on the verbal command. Another thing you want to keep in mind is when we start naming the command, we want to use the terminal marker. So when I teach stay, I don't say stay. If I place a dog into a commanded position, so for example, I tell the dog to sit and that dog sits down and I use my continuation marker, so for her it's yes, then she will be in a sit stay. If you're not ready to enforce the stay, use the terminal marker. This way we can pinpoint the completion of the behavior, we can reward the dog, and we can release him at the same time. So during this exercise, I'm going to be using my terminal marker, which is free, letting her know that she's done with the exercise and we're going to move on to the next one. Again, this is because we're not ready to enforce the stay command. So here we go. We're going to be doing all the different commands that we've worked on so far. And remember, it goes command, motivate, mark, reward. And each one has to be separated by a split second on the timeline. They can't be together. So we say down, then we cue our dog. Free, and then we reward. Climb, then the cue. Free, then the reward. Off, then the cue. Free, reward. Spin, then the cue. Free, reward. Center, then the cue. Free, reward. Heel, then the cue. Free, a little early on the free there, then reward. Down, then the cue. Free, reward. Stand, then the cue. Free, reward. Sit, then the cue. Free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. You see how it's separated. If you had a timeline, you'd see the command down, then you'd see the physical cue would be next, then the marker free, and then the reward. So each one is separated. What most people do, the most common mistake, is people pair their physical with their verbal. They pair the command and motivate. They go down, right? And then they say free and they reward at the exact same time. We want to make sure that we separate it, because if we do it incorrectly, it still almost looks like we're doing it correct. So for example, this is incorrect. Climb, free, off, free. And that's what most people do. B, all right. So I'm gonna go back to doing it correctly. Down, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. Spin, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, heel, cue, free, reward. Climb, cue, and remember, I'm not worried about perfect precision since it's service dog training, not competition obedience. Off, cue, free, reward. Center, cue, free, reward. Down, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. Good girl. Spin, cue, free, reward. Climb, cue, free, reward. Break. And that's how I do a basic obedience training exercise with my dog. Once I get it to the point where they know the markers, they know the behaviors we want them to perform off of a physical cue, and then we're ready to name the command. And again, command, motivate, mark, reward. I can't stress that enough. It has to go in that order. All right, so that's gonna be what you guys wanna do. And again, you wanna continue doing this until it gets to the point where we say the command, climb. Look, the dog went to the climb command without having to guide them to that position. Then we know we have that behavior on the verbal command. And that's very important if you want to get your dogs to perform the behavior on the verbal command alone. So I hope you guys like the video. Make sure you leave a comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.